Alvaro, do you want to try to see if your speaker is working? Maybe talk?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Good. Hello and welcome everyone. We will be starting in 2 minutes. Okay. Annie and Alvaro, you both have co-host accessibility. Alvaro, can you allow me to share my PowerPoint first to introduce you and Annie? After I finish my introduction, I will stop sharing for you to begin sharing. Is that okay?
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
No?
Wonderful. Can y'all see my screen? Okay. So it is 1 o'clock. So we are probably going to start, and I'll continue on meeting people as they come. Let's see. Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to our Learning Together Disaster Series. This time we have Endeavors presenting for us on empowering vulnerable communities during case management, during the case management process, and this conversation will be focused on non-citizen individuals. My name is Luz Sanabria Reyes, and I work at Volunteer NC, also known as the Commission on Volunteerism and Community Service, housed in the Governor's Office, and I am the Disaster Services Manager for Volunteer NC. All right, and some housekeeping information, some housekeeping items. This presentation is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Volunteer NC's YouTube channel. Today's presentation is scheduled to last 1 hour. This includes Q&A. Save your questions for the end of the presentation. Keep your microphones muted to prevent interruptions. All materials from this presentation and the link to the video will be shared via email with all of you. Today's presenters, we have Alvaro Hernandez, and a little bit about Alvaro. Alvaro plays a pivotal role as program coordinator at Endeavors, where he is responsible for overseeing the disaster case management program and managing outreach event expectations and goals. His role involves close collaboration with clients and staff across departments to ensure that DCMP aligns with FEMA disaster case management guidelines. Alvaro also provides essential training to staff to support effective case management. Alvaro boasts an extensive background with over 15 years of experience in child case management. He has provided critical case management to support survivors of major disasters, including the Texas flood, and has served as the DCM supervisor for Hurricane Harvey and Tropical Storm Elma. Imelda. Alvaro earned a bachelor's degree from Los Libertadores University in Colombia, completing his diverse background and skills. He's also a licensed child care administrator. And then we have Annie Derry. Annie Derry currently serves as the operations coordinator for disaster recovery within the Emergency Services Division at ENCOR. In this pivotal role, she is responsible for ensuring optimal operation across various service departments with a focus on minimizing downtime and interruptions. Her commitment to seamless operations supports the effective delivery for services to disaster-affected communities. Within the case management program, Annie takes on the role for program manager. In this capacity, she provides visionary leadership and strategic direction for the program. Her responsibilities extend to recruiting and managing staff, maintaining staff levels, and ensuring the program meets its commitment and grant requirements. Annie leadership is pivotal in driving the success of the program. In her role, Hanny holds a bachelor's degree of arts in rehabilitation and related services for Northwestern State University, underscoring her dedication to supporting and rehabilitating individuals and communities in need. Welcome, both of you, and I am going to stop sharing my screen to give you access for you to share your presentation. Let's see. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are happy to welcome you, invite you to this session of Learning Together Disaster Series. We hope that you are able to have an open dialogue with us as well as share your best practices. And we hope that we are able to provide some of our best practices so that we can go about the business of empowering those vulnerable populations that we work with. We would first like to give you a slight introduction as to what we will try to cover. An hour is going to be pushing it, but we're going to do our best. So we will give you a little information about Endeavors itself, the importance of inclusiveness, the disaster case management program, ensuring equitable services, assisting non-citizen individuals, addressing the language and cultural sensitivity, provide some of the support and resources that we utilize, challenges and solutions, and then the conclusion. For Endeavors, we are a 54, almost 55-year-old faith-based nonprofit agency. Endeavors was founded by Dr. Louis Zendenden Jr. in San Antonio, Texas. He was a Presbyterian minister who came to his church one day to find an individual lying on the steps. He assumed the person was asleep, but found that the person had actually frozen to death due to homelessness. So he got together with several of his co-laborers in the ministry, and they formed a Christian assistance ministry, which is now what we call Endeavors. So it was formed to address homelessness and food insecurity, and it's developed into what you see now. We feel that all people have the opportunity to grow. So we offer different programs to assist them in that growth. We say that we offer a hand up, not a hand out. So we make sure that they gain the knowledge, gain the resources that they need in order to better themselves, improve themselves, and to grow so that they are able to move forward into recovery. Endeavors has 4 pillars of service. Those 4 pillars include community and family services, caring for veterans and their families, migrant services, and the pillar where we fall, emergency services, which carries the disaster case management, as well as some of the migrant services that, especially with our unaccompanied minors who are crossing the border. So we will move into discussing the importance of inclusiveness. So when disasters strike, they don't pinpoint any particular destination. They don't pinpoint any particular population. They just strike. So they don't say, okay, I'm gonna go over here and I'm not gonna touch this group over here. But if disasters strike without discrimination, but the people who experience the worst of the disaster are those individuals who are underinsured, those people who are non-citizens, those groups that are low income, those people who have a systemic impoverishment. So those are the people we normally end up assisting because they are the ones who are most in need. So communities that have access to resources tend to recover, rebound quicker than the communities that do not have access to those resources. Normally, our people who do not have access to those resources sometimes never recover. And so that's why we tend to focus on that population. Studies show that the method of how funding is distributed sometimes exacerbates the problem that underinsured, uninsured, non-citizens face when the disaster occurs. So we work to try to connect them with those resources that are not based on whether or not they are a citizen of the United States, but just focuses on the fact that they were impacted, that they have unmet needs, and that we can find a resource to cover those unmet needs. So U.S. citizens who have significant damage from disasters, who live in affluent neighborhoods, are always the focus, it seems, of the funding when it becomes available. You will see people in those areas doing this for this community or that community. You don't see them in communities where there are non-citizens or where there are impoverished people. They're not there building those communities up. So that is our focus, to be in those communities, to provide that type of support, that assistance for those citizens who are actually in need to have safe, secure, and sanitary environments, to actually have security for food. And so those are the populations that we focus on, those communities. I'm going to turn it over to my co-laborer, Alvaro.
Yes, thank you, Sam. I want to add on the comments. I want to add, thank you, Ms. Annie, again. I want to add on this part that our numbers here in the neighbors show definitely a high numbers of clients that they are in the middle of this group. We have been assisting this kind of population since 2017, 16, but we have been working with companies, and definitely the numbers have been high. We have all kind of population that been as a clients here, but definitely we can say this kind of population with less resources are the people that they have been they receive more impact coming from any kind of disease.
Okay, moving into disaster case management. In disaster case management, there are several areas that we focus. Our focus is on connecting the clients with repair reveal, with the long-term recovery partnerships, including them in the case management services, making sure that we recognize, acknowledge, and consider the religious and spiritual differences that we will be encountering when we are going into different neighborhoods, and making sure that the referrals that we provide to the clients are referrals that they can actually utilize. We employ resource coordinators to make sure that whatever referral that DCM refers that client to, the client is actually going to get assistance from them, so that we're not sending them to vacant buildings or sending, excuse me, sending them somewhere where they can't get assistance.
Okay. Sí, let me continue, Ms. Annie. Definitely, this is the plan. This is the plan. We follow definitely the rules, the policies from FEMA that that we are following in the programs. The idea definitely is to include all kinds of services that we are available to provide to the clients, to any kind of clients, definitely that they are coming into the program. We start obviously with reviewing the needs, we review the assessments, complete assessment to make sure that we establish and confirm the real needs that they are reporting at the moment during the intake, during the initial meeting that we have with the people. The idea is definitely start with process, verify the needs that they have. At that point, we need to start as well what is going to be the plan, the service plan for the clients. That they need to include obviously the goals, the steps, the target date, the outcomes, the updates, every single updates that we're going to have regarding the needs. At the end, obviously, the idea is to close the cases due to recovery plan meet. The case management process. The case management is defined as a process that involves obviously the professional, is the case manager that helps the client to open the case, to develop the recovery plan, the individual long-term recovery plans that needs to be completed as a team, because this is a teamwork, definitive process between the disaster manager and the client. We focus here with the clients. If you as a client, you don't assist me to assist you, I cannot assist you during the process to get fully recovered. Definitely, this is needs to be like a teamwork process between the clients and the case
managers. Some of the things that a case manager is responsible for is making sure that they monitor the process so that the case does not become stagnant, the client does not become frustrated and decide, okay, you can't assist me, I'm in worse shape than I was before you started. So monitoring the case to make sure that it moves forward, advocating for the client to make sure that the resources are there, making sure that whatever services you or the client identifies with you are the services that you are actually working on. So you don't want to be working on something that the client does not need or that the client is not interested in. That is why the recovery plan is always made in collaboration with the client. It's not something that the case manager would sit down and say, okay, I've reviewed the case and this is what I see the needs at. No, I've reviewed the case. I've reviewed the information that you as the client have provided me. What do you see as your needs? And then if those needs are realistic, if those needs are achievable, if those needs are time-based, if they are specific, then those are the needs that you as the case manager and that client will sit down and establish those goals and that plans to reach to those needs to make sure that they are covered in that process. There are 4 steps that need to be followed in case management. You need to coordinate, and that coordination is not just between you and the DCM and the client. It's also with the long-term recovery committee. It's also with those COADs and BOADs that are in the community. Training and coaching needs to occur so that the DCMs have the training that they need and they're able to coach that client so that that client receives information that they will be able to utilize, not just today, but in the future. There needs to be resources identified that are sufficient to meet the needs of the clients within that community. And so that's why we have resource coordinators who are continuously seeking resources, vetting those resources, validating those resources to make sure that the client is able to use them. And then there is support. Case managers will need to support the clients in their growth so that they are not in the same status, not in the same shape, not in the same circumstances, not if, but when the next disaster occurs. They will know where it is they need to start in order to have the recovery on the way versus sitting back because they don't know what steps to take. They will have those steps in place so that they know where to start, how to start, and who to start with. So, the case manager is also going to help the client to return to independence because you don't want to have a client totally dependent on the case manager. The case manager wants to work with that client, help that client to build up resources, help that client to build up autonomy, help that client to become self-sufficient so that the client is able to say, my case manager assisted me in doing ABC so that I'm now able to go seek a job. I know where to go if this occurs. I know what to do when this occurs. So building that client up, training that client, and coaching that client and assisting them in becoming independent individuals who are able to start their recovery when the next disaster occurs. We know FEMA has voluntary agency liaison. These are your partners. These are your help. These are your assistants. These are people who you can turn to say, I have this client and this is going on. I've not been able to establish any resources for them. Or where can you assist me? How can you assist me with this client, these clients, or this group of clients? They will be able to help you identify different agencies that may be able to assist your clients. And these agencies, voluntary agencies, provide help irregardless to citizenship or immigration status. And so those are the agencies that you want to cultivate. Those are the agencies that you want to partner with to make sure that when you have your non-citizens, your immigration population who've been impacted by disaster, you have those resources readily available to assist them. Here in Texas, we have what are called assistance ministries. And those assistance ministries assist our clients indelibly. They are able to provide for their needs, irregardless to whether or not they are assisted. If they were impacted by that disaster, then they are able to provide services to that client. In working with clients, you want to ensure that services are equal. You don't want to have one population that receives more than the other, or I'm on this side of the street and my home is being rebuilt, and you're on the other side of the street and your home is still in disrepair, and nobody's ever come over to see what is going on with it. So you want equitable service. And the case managers have to lead with humility. You cannot go to a person's home with your nose stuck up in the air, thinking, looking and feeling like you are better than, and think that they are going to want your assistance. They don't even want you in their home. So lead with, be humble, be empathetic to the situation that the client is in, and help them to talk about what it is going to take for them to come to resilient. Help them to discuss and begin to work on what it's going to take for them to build a safe environment, to have a secure environment, and to make their environment sanitary. What does it take for you to be stable in this home? But with humility, you cannot go in there. So you also want to build trust. We know that our non-citizen population have a distinct fear. They would rather live in a home that has no plumbing, that has no walls falling in, has no windows, than to go to you for assistance because they feel like you're going to report them. You have to build that trust factor with that population so that they understand, no, you're not reporting to ICE. No, you don't need to know their citizenship status. No, you're only there to assist them. But it's going to take time. It's going to take that ability, and it's going to take going into that environment, like I said, with an humble spirit, so that those individuals who have been impacted begin to trust you. And it also is important if you have someone who can speak their language, who know their customs, who recognize and appreciate their customs, and can respond to them in a manner in which they are able to accept.
Let me add something here, as well. These efforts to get to find the best people to work with the people, beginning since the interview hiring process, right? We are expecting and the disaster case manager that from the disaster case manager that they love to work with people, definitely, that they love to help the people. We focus and we are making a lot of efforts to try to select the people that they want to work with this kind of population, because a lot of situations we have in the past, people maybe they are working because they don't find any other kind of job, but endeavors definitely is trying to focus on this kind of people that they love to work and help, to work with people and help the people, assist the people. And as we did mention at the beginning, we focus on they need to have the ability to make sure that they work together, the clients and the case manager. Next, this one.
So Endeavors also utilizes our diversity, equality, inclusiveness platform to train the DCMs. And so there is weekly, monthly, quarterly training from our DEI department so that all races, all beliefs, all nationalities or genders, irregardless, are respected. We get tips on how to interact with the different groups so that we don't offend anyone when we're out trying to offer services. Because even if you have the resource, even if you have the ability to assist this individual or this group of people, If you go into the community and offend them, then you're not able to assist them because they don't want your help. So we try to gain all the knowledge we can about the people we are going to be serving, and we enter that community, we enter those homes with an attitude of servitude, because you are the servant going into that environment. You are there to serve them, and you're there to make sure that their needs are met. And it does not depend on what the race they are, what gender they are, if they are affluent or not affluent. They've been impacted by a disaster, and you are there to provide the assistance that they are needing. So we're supposed to be working this presentation geared towards assisting non-citizen individuals. So we are going to move into that with the caveat that all individuals are eligible for service if they have been affected by a major declared disaster. There are services that, irregardless to your status, that you are eligible for: crisis management, counseling, legal services, case management, and other non-monetary in-kind emergency services. So all people need to know that they're eligible for those services, that they will not be asked about their immigration status. They will not be asked whether they're a citizen in order to receive those emergency services. So disaster assistance can come in forms: in kind, monetary, rental assistance, home repairs, different disaster-related needs and expenses which were not covered by insurance or other means. So those individuals who are not citizens, you seek out resources that will assist them, that does not depend on their legal status. Because again, they have been impacted and they do need the services. They need assistance to recover. So resource coordinators, our resource coordinators are always seeking resources that will assist individuals irregardless to their immigration status, irregardless to their legal status.
Ms. Annie, I want to ask, just to let you know, the people that are here in this presentation, attending this presentation, during the intake, using the intake forms, the eligibility forms, we don't have any questions related to the immigration status. The only thing that they need to submit is a proof that they were affected by the disaster. We have some requirements, obviously, for every single client that we are going to work with. But if we review very carefully the intake forms and the eligibility forms, we don't have one question related to the legal status. The only thing, again, they need to prove that that was affected by the disaster, how submitting utility bills with the date and the place of the disaster, effort that they have applied for any kind of assistance. And again, we don't ask any question. We don't make any question related to the immigration status, legal status in the USA.
So when we are working with non-citizens, you have several different statuses or qualifiers for the non-citizen. You have what is called a qualified alien, and this will include your green card holders, asylees, refugees, or those whose deportation is being withheld. And it's also an alien paroled into the U.S. for at least 1 year. These are qualified aliens. They're non-citizens, but they're qualified. Then you have your other group who are non-citizen nationals. And these are people who are born in outlying possessions of the U.S. American Samoan, Swan's Island, or after the date the U.S. acquired the possession of that outlying county, or a person whose parents are U.S. non-citizen nationals. All U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but not every U.S. citizen national is a U.S. citizen. So all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but not all nationals are U.S. citizens. The next group so your qualified non-citizens include green card holders, non-citizens granted asylum, and refugees. As well as your Cuban and Haitian entrants. You have certain individuals who are non-citizens due to being battered or their spouses or the children. And then you have certain victims of severe forms of human trafficking, including persons with a T or U visa. And so those people with the T visa are usually victims of human trafficking, and they're here because they are either going to be witnesses for involved in this trafficking, they are going to testify for the prosecution, or they are involved in the investigation. Then you have the U visa, and these are non-citizens who have been granted a work visa, and they can usually have that visa, and within 3 years they can apply for the green card for permanent citizenship, permanent alienship, so that they are able to continue to stay in the U.S. So when the disaster occurs, you have a non-citizen home, but you have children in that home, and those children were born in the U.S. That makes that home eligible for services because that child is a U.S. citizen. And so when you are conducting that intake, this intake would have the child as the applicant because that child is a citizen, but it would have the parent as the co-applicant because that's their adult in the home. So although the parent is a non-citizen and is not actually eligible to apply for those services, that child being born in the U.S. is a citizen and is eligible to apply for those services. So the application would be in the child's name and the co-applicant would be the parent, so that they are able to actually receive the services that they are seeking. In order for this to occur, the parent or the guardian has to live in the same house. Again, that parent or guardian must apply as a co-applicant, not as an applicant. And the minor child must be under 18 at the time that the disaster occurred. So a child is under 18, parent lives in the same house, and the parent applies as a co-applicant. And this is how the non-citizen will be able to access the services that are needed so that they are able to recover. When you are working with different populations, you also have to take into consideration the different languages and be sensitive to the culture that you are entering. In order to serve those diverse populations, Endeavors strives to employ people of multicultural backgrounds so that we are able to have that diversity in the staff that can go out into the community and interact with the community, that they can get with a group of DCMs and say, okay, I'm familiar with this population. This is my culture. And in my culture, this is how we approach situations. You're not going to be able to go into this neighborhood and do X, Y, Z. You're going to have to do A, B, C. So we have a list of best practices. This is not an all-inclusive list. It's not limited to the ones that we are going to review, but it is some of the ones that we actually utilize. So what are the efforts and what are the goals? How do you set the goals? How are you going to measure that? You must make sure that you look at the personnel, understand the current state of what your DEI is doing, and get leadership buy-in so that DEI goals can be met. Have your DEI department, if you have one. If you don't, establish one and have their statement of mission for the organization that speaks to what it is that you are trying to facilitate. And the greatest practice is to attract and maintain diverse talent. You don't want to hire the same person over and over and over. You want a diverse staff coming in to serve the diverse population that you're going to be working with. So look at everything from how does this reflect my agency? How does this reflect on my department? How does this reflect on my company? What is it that I need to do to make sure that the impression that we are trying to give is received in the manner in which we are trying to present? Commit to working with your prospective hires, with prospective staff, so that they understand the culture of the company, that they're able to buy into what it is that you say your mission is. So if you're saying that your mission is to work with underserved population, you're saying that your mission is to serve in those communities, and then you need to present that attitude of servitude to the people that you are proposing to hire. Have consistent training, unconscious bias, teach the staff how to have conversations with diverse populations, and then reinforce to them the importance of being diverse, the importance of being inclusive, and the importance of treating everyone with equity.
Well, other goals of the company, and we are recommending, obviously, is like to make sure we cover and we review any kind of events around the area, around the country, around the states, to make sure that we are presenting our services and to facilitate the process to engage people to offer the different services that we offer at this time. Definitely, when we complete the hiring process, that is the goal as well, obviously, that we need to post the requirements for the employees that what kind of employees we are expecting. On this way, definitely is the only way that we are making sure that we are hiring the best people. One of the requirements can be not necessarily a requirement, but could be being bilingual is a suppose, right? The statement in the requirements. On that way, we are engaged people, bilingual people, people that they speak any other different language than English, especially people that they speak Spanish. But we are trying to focus according to the area that we are going to serve. At this point as well, Endeavors has in place a lot of forums already in Spanish. Definitely, this is the major number of the clients that we have speaking other language. We are making sure that we have available for the clients because they need to sign, obviously, the forms, and they need to know what they are signing, what kind of form they are signing, what kind of requirements they have for eligibility. But definitely, we try to do the best placing forms in different languages as well.
And Endeavors also has on each DCM cell phone a translation app. So when they go into a home and that home does not speak English, they're able to pull up the translation app and which speak into it so that whatever it is that they are trying to discuss with that family, the family is able to understand in their language. And so when they speak to the app, then it's translated back to the DCM in English, and the DCM speaks English and is translated to them in the language that they speak, so that they are exactly aware of what it is that the DCM is offering, what it is that the DCM program does, and why this person is in their home trying to offer them services. Under support and resources, Endeavors tries to engage and enroll individuals in multiple faceted ways. We go through social media, we have email blasts, we have outreach events, and in those outreach events, we have printed material that is in different languages so that the people who are attending those outreach events are able to pull that material, read what it is that we are doing, and then allow us to assist them if they need that assistance. Or let us know that I was impacted, but not in the areas that you are serving. We are able then to send them to an area, a different agency that is serving in their particular community, so that they are able to still get the services that they are needing. So I spoke earlier about resource coordinators. Endeavors always hires resource coordinators so that they are able to be out in the community, visible. They are able to liaison with the local organizations, with the nonprofits, with the different leaders in the community. And then they are able to come into contact with those different agencies that have the resources that our clients are needing. They are able to identify, vet, validate those community resources. And then they are looking for resources, particularly that do not request legal status for eligibility or assistance. So those are the specific resources that we look for, because the other resources are always there. But those resources that assist those non-citizen individuals, you have to search for, you have to vet them, and you have to make sure that once you refer your client, there's not something that comes up later that says, oh, well, we need to know what your status is. What's your status in the U.S.? No, we don't need to know that. We need you to assist this client. And so that is one of the things that the resource coordinator does, is to make sure that in the vetting process, the client's legal status, their immigration status, is not questioned when they arrive for that assistance.
This is another important point that we have in place here in Endeavors. Normally, when we are completing the intake, all clients, every single client that we are in place, they need to sign a form, a release of confidential information. Obviously, this the population without legal status in the USA, they are signing as well this form. They have in place as well these forms in Spanish, because they need to know especially what kind of information we are able to share with different external agencies that we are going to work with, for how long it's going to be this authorization, right? And again, who is going to share the information with? That is one of the most important things that they have the right to know what kind of information we are going to share and who we are going to share to this information. But they have the they have these forms, these documents, right, in Spanish as well. They need to know what kind of information they have signed.
Okay. Some of the challenges that we face when we are trying to serve non-citizen populations is cultural differences. So we, in our study, found that they predict that by 2055, there would not be a majority in the U.S. Everybody will be approximately equal. So it is extremely important that we put in these cultural sensitivity courses, that we have diversity training, that we be inclusive in our services to everyone. The common challenges in assisting non-citizen individuals, there's that constant fear. If I apply for FEMA, what happens to my immigration status? If I apply, will someone be knocking on my door? Will there be a raid on my home? So how does the client qualify for FEMA benefits? What is the individual access to those benefits? Is it safe for me to seek assistance? Because like I said earlier, if some of those clients, they would rather just stay in that home that is torn down, it's broken down, that is really not safe for human habitation, than open themselves up to the possibility of being detained and deported. So looking into those factors for those different clients. And they're always considering, what are the consequences if I say who lives in my home? What happens to me? What happens to them? And so, like we were saying, that release of confidential information form is extremely important, and that they understand that release of confidential information and how it can assist them, and that they understand that your agency is going to work with them to connect them to other agencies that do not provide assistance based on their immigration status.
Yeah, 5 cents on this area. This is my situation that I had in the past. I'm an immigrant. I came to the USA. I was feeling the same situation like our clients. We can feel it, right? At this point, we need to feel that kinds of situations as well. Like we can be on the path. And yes, this is the question that we have when we arrive to the USA. What kind of beneficiaries we are going to have? What happens, right? If I share my information myself, my phone number, my address, maybe immigration is coming to pick me up. We don't know, but this is too hard. Feeling this kind of being on this part of the line. But now we are here to assist this kind of population, right? We are expecting that what the information that we are expecting as soon we arrive to this.
So some of the possible solutions that Endeavors again came up with is to provide service without discrimination, to not require or ask or request the legal status of the individual who's seeking assistance. Because like I said, all individuals impacted by a disaster, regardless of citizenship or immigration status, may be eligible for disaster case management services. And you have to go in with that understanding to see, where is this client? What is this client? What are the services that we're able to offer the clients? So, Endeavors also connects individuals to social service agencies available in their community that do not require them to provide their legal status. And so again, the resource coordinator is extremely valuable in vetting and validating those resources to determine which ones we can actually send our citizens to that they can get the services that they need without fear of immigration or ICE coming to their doors after. Some of the resources that we utilize and we pull from are listed here, and you are able to go to any of them to collect information and see what's there. And as the slides will be made available, we're going to keep moving because we're time limited. So some of our key points were disasters are a catalyst to starting community conversations. Cultural sensitivity is extremely needed and should be always at the forefront. Various classifications for non-citizen individuals. All individuals are impacted by disaster or may be eligible for disaster case management services. You need to have a competent, diverse, and culturally active team in place so that you can have an effective response during the disaster. And you must have a team that is empathetic, that is understanding, and that is committed to inclusivity within that community, within those populations that you are serving. Questions regarding anything that we have presented, we will do our very best to answer.
So we have a couple of questions in the chat box. Well, two of them are the same. Is this PowerPoint going to be sent out to all of us? Is the presentation going to be available? Yes?
PowerPoint, yes.
Okay, okay. Nancy asks, how does the Red Cross recovery process fits with this program?
How does it fit?
How does it fit?
Okay. With our, we are always asking questions as to what information they need. If they tell us that we need their legal status, then that's not the program that we're going to utilize with that individual. We're going to go to another program that does not require legal status in order to assist the client. So when sometimes, depending on what is being offered, the status is not requested, and then we will utilize them. But in case we do ask for the status, then that's not something that we send our client, because we do not want to open them up to any legal actions from anybody.
And something else that I would like to add to that question is it's that, you know, usually Red Cross comes in the beginning process of the long-term of the response process, right? And then for most of the time, they after shelters are closed, they pulled out and allow the long-term recovery process to start. They sometimes are included, but most of the time they pass the baton to other organizations to continue that process.
Hi. I work for the Red Cross.
After, especially within that long-term recovery group process, and they will offer assistance there. If they are asking for our clients and legal status, then that is not someone that we refer our client to, because we do not want to open them up to any legal action. So if they're sitting at the long-term recovery table and they are requesting our client's legal status, then that's not something that we utilize.
And we have someone from Red Cross, I think it's Kira Reina, who attempted to speak. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anyone off. Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. So the Red Cross will help anyone and everyone, regardless of their citizenship status. So we do not typically require that information. Like she said, we usually come in right after the disaster occurs, and then we usually do pass off our long-term recovery off to partners. We do have our own long-term recovery program, but usually we're really relying on partners to kind of carry on that process, to carry the baton, so to speak. But we do help everyone regardless of their citizenship status.
Thank you, Reina, for that information. And then we have Aurora Palmer, who is no longer in the call. I believe she had to leave early, but would like a follow-up. She's asking, can we get a list of the areas you are serving, I guess, Endeavor? And the organization that I work for assists clients that are experiencing a financial crisis. How would be the best way our organization will be able to refer clients to your organization for assistance?
So it's going to depend on which area she's referring clients from. We are currently working in St. Clair County, Illinois. We are working in several counties in Louisiana, and we're working in multiple counties in Florida as far as disaster case management is concerned. We are working across the U.S. in rapid rehousing and housing assistance. In some areas, we're working job assistance. So it's going to depend on what area she's trying to refer from, whether or not we have a service that she can utilize.
And depend the needs that the people they need. They have.
Does anyone else have additional questions in relations to the content of the presentation for today? I do have a question for you both. I'm very familiar with the DCMP process. I was a case manager during Matthew, and during Florence, many of your case managers came to the long-term recovery group in Cumberland County, and I was able to work with many of them side by side, helping secure resources for our county. And so my question is, I know in the past, the process, of course, as you put it, these individuals may be able to receive services, right? Because we understand that working for case management for DCMP doesn't prohibit you from adding those cases into your caseload, right? But these are cases that usually you're not able to tap in the regular resources as any other person, right? So the resources are limited. In the past, we had to close those cases sometimes because we didn't have resources. And I'm speaking about Matthew. I know a lot have improved since Matthew. And so I wanted to ask you, do you see that now is different, that you have more resources available? Can you speak about what kind of unrestricted resources are you now able to tap in to help these families recover?
One of our resources is the Lowe's Reconstruction Grant. And so we apply for that so that we are able to utilize it to assist the clients in repair and rebuild or repair circumstances, so that we can, because it's not limited to them being a citizen. They don't have to be a citizen in order to get that service. And then Endeavors also has its own long-term recovery unmet needs table, so that we're able to assist through that venue as well. And then we also, like I say, go out to the different assistance ministries, especially here in Houston, that will assist our clients and doesn't impact or require them to be citizens. And so you have different assistance ministries that assist with furniture, that assist with appliances, that assist with even the paying of the first and last rent, as well as sometimes we can get them to pay for that in between, like 3 to 6 months rent for that client. So it just depends on what the client is needing, what area of town they're living in, what resources we're able to tap into.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? This is your opportunity. Going once.
Luz,
Yes.
okay. I have something to add to the last question. Let me tell you, not just population without legal status, close cases due to recovery plan no meet. You know, we need to think that sometimes we have to close some cases, even people that they have legal status. It's dependent on the needs and on the result that we have in place at the moment. That makes sense? Sometimes we have people with wishes, no need. We need to start closing some cases as well. We close cases due to no recovery plan need, but that doesn't mean that it's just necessary people without legal status.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any additional questions, comments in relations to the content of the presentation? Well, it sounds like that's a no. So we are wrapping up this presentation today. Annie and Alvaro, thank you so much for making yourselves available and delivering this great presentation. Your information, I will share their information once I send the email with the PowerPoint and any other materials that needs to be made available to all of you. And next presentation will be next month. Next month, we will have Mary Glasscock, technical consultant for the civil engineering firm Witters Raybro. And she will be speaking about resiliency through grant funding opportunities for nonprofits. And that will be March 13th. I will be sending the information via email for all of you to register. Thank you for being here today with all of us. Have a great day and happy Valentine's Day for all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.